So I used to work for a large regional theater in Boston. It was long hours. It was sort of thankless work in a wasteful industry. And now I live in the mountains of Idaho.
This is the story of Nick and Esther, who moved from a city life and jobs that they didn't like to the mountains of Idaho. I know you're going to get a lot out of their story. Make sure to stay to the end for my favorite tip that they shared.
I'm Nick from FOUCH Off-Grid. We moved out to a bare piece of land and we put up a yurt, which we lived in for a number of years, while we built our house, which we live in now.
I'm Esther, I'm Nick's wife, and the other half of FOUCH Off-Grid. We have taken the slow boat in terms of getting into our homestead and out of the rat race. We took 2 years still living in Boston after we made the decision that we wanted to homestead. We took 2 years to get out of debt completely. And then after that, after we made the move, it has taken us 3 full years to build our home. And even that is not finished. As you can see, we're still in the process of building our very own palace.
Surprise, surprise, it does take a little bit of money to invest in wherever you're going. So we did quite a bit of savings. We worked hard to first sort of pare down our needs, concentrate on where our food came from, and that to make sure we were eating well, and where other goods came from, and tried to source them responsibly, but also just use things up until they're really, really dead, you know, clothes and everything. So we concentrated on getting the most out of all of the things that we spent money on. And during that time, we were spending less, meaning we were able to save more. So we were still working. I was still working 9 to 5 and more at a regular job, made good money, had benefits and the whole thing, but we were living like we had next to nothing, which enabled us to save for a period of a couple of years. And so when we were ready to jump, when we had spent that time building skills and sort of building a lifestyle, at the end of that, we had a little nest egg that we were then able to go and transfer into land purchase is the way we did it. So when we were ready to jump, we got our piece of land. It had a lot going for it, including water and a little bit of dirt work that made for some level building spots. But we still absolutely had to watch our pennies. We wanted to make those few pennies that we had go as far as they possibly could. I got into scavenging quite a lot for building materials. You'd be surprised what people throw away. It takes a little bit of work to make those materials do the jobs that you need them to do, but it was well worth it. So I came up with just a calculation in my head of replacing investment dollars with my own hours. And so if there were something that I could get the material for free, invest a little bit of my time into making it a good raw material, then that was well worth that time if it replaced buying material new. So that was one of the things that made a lot of our early building projects really happen. So we're slowly working towards producing goods on property that will make money. We also want to produce food. We want to, be content with what we have here, but it still takes money to make a lot of things go around. So we're in the process of siting and building a shop for me where I can make things that people will buy and pay good money for. Esther is writing a lot and producing a lot of content, and that's an on-property source of income. And that's kind of the trick to making homesteading work, as far as I've figured out, is to not leave. If you're still commuting, it's not that it doesn't work, and I'm sure that people can make it work, but part of that small footprint and that just the idea of having everything that you need, it's probably best for it all to be centralized on your property.
During our first few years on our property, I wrote a book, I wrote a lot of articles, and I produced a lot of videos. That has been a substantial and important part of our way of surviving. I think everybody knows the idea of residuals, that if you produce something once that then people are consuming over time, you continue to get income from that even after you've done the work only once. That is definitely something that we have practiced that has benefited us. It is not the end of our story, which is why Nick is building a shop, and we will hopefully in the future be depending heavily on things that he produces with his hands, which has always been his goal, to get out of that rat race idea of having to answer to somebody and doing work that he didn't believe in, and into a life where he could use his own skills and his own labor to support himself and his family that he loves.
So if you're thinking about wanting to do something like this, you've seen crazy people like myself and others on YouTube, and we make it look easy. It's not really easy, but it's utterly doable. So just educate yourself as best you can, but also don't be afraid to leap and learn as you go. You just have to sort of manage your own tolerance for risk, and go for it. As long as you're not gonna set everything on fire or hurt yourself or ruin relationships. There's a lot that can be done in between all those things.
But we love the homestead life. We love the way it's shaping us as human beings, being so responsible for every moment of our lives. Sometimes I say the reason I do it is that I can go to bed every night feeling like I did the best I could. And that's definitely what it means to me to be free rather than in the rat race.
So if you want to stay up to date with what in the heck we're doing out here on our land, check us out at FOUCH Off Grid on the YouTube. So I bet I'll run into you there.
If you want to escape the rat race, Nick and Esther's advice is excellent. My absolute favorite tip that they shared, although all of them were good, was exchanging hours for money. So if you're low on money and you're trying to save, using your time to replace what you would have to spend. Nick used his time to scavenge building materials, which would take a long time, but it saved him a lot of money on their building project. Awesome advice, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Make sure to check out FOUCH channel.